Any discussion of this document or its contents will be regarded at the very least as an act of sedition, if not a willful act of treason.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time. I'm doing a video now which is a response to MJ from Reading This Life. It's me announcing that I'll be joining in on what she's doing and creating my own little project based on MJ's event and creating a playlist based on that event as well. So I'm not sure when this is going out, but I've just watched a very powerful, impassioned, emotional video from MJ at Reading This Life, where she was talking about the subject of censorship and the subject of banned books and how wrong it is, and how the reasons for banning them are always a little bit crazy and sometimes veiled behind some other reason. And they'll say that it's a reason, it's not that reason. It's something more archaic, if you like. And it's a very important message that MJ is suggesting that we put out, and that's that the freedom to write progressive fiction is something that we shouldn't take for granted, and that we should celebrate the books that have been banned. And it's a really good video. I'll link the video below. It wasn't very easy to watch. I don't like seeing friends of mine upset, but I saw it as a battle cry, and I'm definitely up for joining in what she's saying. So she's created this event for next year, for 2024, called 24 for 24. And the idea is that if you're up for it, you'll read 24 banned books. Out of the books that you read in 2024, 24 of them would be banned books. So sadly, there are hundreds and hundreds of books to choose from. There are tons and tons of books that have been banned somewhere in the world, and some of them are quite shocking. The Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland. It's crazy. So looking at these books is a really productive, constructive, positive thing to do. And praising them and talking about them on the channel is what MJ is talking about. So putting a spotlight on these books that are being banned. And if it's like 24 books, it means 2 a month. It'll probably feel like it's dominated the year, so it's like a proper project, but obviously it won't be the only things you read, so you can do other things as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a playlist based around the books that I read for this, but I'm also going to include other things that may be relevant. So, for example, I've already done a video on Mouse, which is a really important book by Art Spiegelman about his father's experiences during the Holocaust, and it's a really important graphic novel, and I really wanted to talk about it this year while I was doing a Historathon, and I've already got a video on it, so that's going to go into the playlist I'm going to make, and the playlist is going to be about banned books. Okay, so I'm springboarding off the 20 for 24 event that MJ's creating, so I absolutely think it would be brilliant if people join in on that. But I'll be making a playlist on my channel on banned books, so I'm going to be reading 24 books. So I've had a look through these different choices of books. As I was saying, there's so many, but some choices of books that I could choose to read for this event. And I'm going to just talk about the 24 that I've chosen that I'm going to, that I intend to read. So I'm not that good at keeping a very specific TBR, but because this has got a very specific message behind it and a point behind it, I can probably stick to most of these. But as I said, because there's other choices as well, and there's so many things out there that are banned, it might change a bit. But I'm going to talk about these books, and some of these books are books I've already read that I'm rereading, and some of them are books that I've had for a while that I need to read, and some are books that I haven't got yet. So there's 5, I think there is, out of this whole 24, there's 5 that I don't own. So I'll have to get those at some point next year. So, start off with Last Exit to Brooklyn. I'm going to read Last Exit to Brooklyn. I've seen the film. I saw the film years and years ago when it first came out. And it stayed in my memory. It really did affect me. I thought it was a very emotive film. But I'm sure the book's better. I'm going to read the book. And I own the book. I bought it recently. I'm looking forward to reading it. So Last Exit to Brooklyn is the first one I'm going to mention here. I don't know what order I'm going to read them in. But the second book is Persepolis. So Persepolis is a book that I've already said I was going to read, but I haven't got to it yet. And I was going to try and squeeze it into the Historathon this year, but what I'll probably do is leave it, because I think its status as a banned book is quite important as well. So I'm going to read that as part of the 24 for 24 project. So Persepolis, about growing up in Iran during the Iranian Revolution and growing up in America as well. The third choice that I've got here, it's a reread, because it had quite an effect on me when I was younger, which might sound a bit weird, but I was very politically driven and very politically curious and very angry as a teenager, and I'm going to reread the Communist Manifesto, and so that's written by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels, and linked to that, I'm also going to read Thomas Paine's Rights of Man. So both the Communist Manifesto and the Rights of Man, both absolutely seminal works in political theory, really important pieces of work, and in different parts of the world they've been banned. I mean, the Rights of Man is a crucial piece of work that influenced all sorts of things. It was before the French Revolution, and it influenced them, and obviously influenced Marx later. But anyway, I'm going to read these, and on my list of 24, I've put them together. So technically it's 25 books, because they're not really the same book, but I've put them together because I feel like, because they're non-fiction and they're a particular kind of non-fiction, I've just put them together. I know, it's probably crazy, but there we are. The fourth book that I'm going to highlight here is Lolita. So this is a book that I've had for a while. I've been meaning to read it, and I don't know what I'm going to think of it. I keep hearing that the way it's written is fantastic. Beautiful prose, but clearly a deeply offensive plot. So that could mean that, well, I think it does mean that some people just can't read it. They can't get past that. I think I'll be able to get past that, but I'm imagining it's a very uncomfortable read. So I don't know. Lolita is going to be another one I'm going to read for this event/project. Number 5 is one that I'm going to put in this project, but it does link to another project I'm doing, which is my Ray Bradbury deep dive, because I wouldn't have got to this book until sometime next year anyway, because I'm trying to do it in order. But Fahrenheit 451 is a crucial work for censorship, because that's what the whole book's about, and that's been banned in different places. So Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury I'm going to read. So I'm looking forward to that. I've read it before, so it's a reread, but I'm reading it for the Ray Bradbury Challenge as well. Number 6, Allen Ginsberg's Howl. So I read this when I was a student. So I read this, when was I a student? Probably about 20 years ago, because I was a mature student, but I was reading all sorts of things like that at the time. Lots of sort of beat poets and some of the sort of cutting edge fiction at the time. So yeah, Howl is a book that I'm looking forward to reading again by Allen Ginsberg. I know it was very shocking at the time. So I'm going to read that. Number 7, the seventh pick, I'm going to be reading William S. Burroughs' Naked Lunch. I don't know what I'm going to think of Naked Lunch, and I imagine some of it will work, some of it might not work. I don't really know. But Naked Lunch, I'm going to read. I've seen the Cronenberg film. I know kind of what to expect, but I don't know what that would be like as a reading experience. So Naked Lunch, I think it's essential when you're looking at this kind of thing, I reckon, to pick that one. So Naked Lunch is going to be read. Number 8, I still haven't read Handmaid's Tale. So I'm going to read Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood in this project / event, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really hoping I really love it. It's clearly very important, and I deliberately haven't seen the TV show because I wanted to read it first. So we'll see what I think when I read it. So Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Number 9, I'm going to read Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. The Clockwork Orange, I've seen the film. I know what to expect, but I also know that it's kind of got this invented language in it. But apparently I've been hearing a lot that it's part of the charm of it, it's part of why you like it, and you get immersed into this different way of thinking. We'll see what I think. I don't know, it might take me out of it, that kind of language, I'm not sure. But Clockwork Orange I'm going to read for the challenge, for the event. The 10th book I'm going to read is a definite reread because I absolutely loved it in school. So it's something I studied when I was in senior school, and that's Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. So I haven't read this for a long time, but I really do remember loving this when I was at school. So I think I was probably about 14, 13. I don't know, it might have been earlier than that, it might have been 12. It was between the ages of 12 and 14. I can't remember exactly what year it was that we read it. But I've got this sort of really clear image of this hardback book that had a green cover on it. It's like a patterned cover. Okay, number 11. This is a big one. And this might be one of the first ones I read for the challenge, to be fair. And that's Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. So Brave New World is a very important dystopia. And I feel like, I shouldn't say I've already read it. If I haven't read it. But it feels like something that I'm so familiar with because, I know so much about it before reading it. So we'll find out what I think of Brave New World. Can't wait to read that. So that's the 11th pick. The 12th pick is a James Baldwin book, Another Country. So this, I've now read some James Baldwin proper now after sort of divvying about with sort of his writing and essays and interviews and stuff like that. And Another Country was one that I was keen to get to anyway, but that's been banned for its sexual content, I think. So I'm looking forward to that one, Another Country. The 13th book is I think it's the only other non-fiction book, and it's a book that I've heard about a lot recently. It's called The Hate You Give. So it's quite a new one as well. So The Hate You Give is a book that I think will be really fascinating and interesting book. But again, it's been banned, and I'm assuming it's been banned because somebody's objecting to the anti-racist content. Not sure. So The Hate You Give is the 13th choice. The 14th choice is a big feature of MJ's video, and I wouldn't have thought of reading this had it not been for her reaction to the book, and it makes me want to read it. And clearly it had quite a profound effect on MJ, and it's called Perks of Being a Wallflower. So I don't know a lot about the book, but I'm going to read that for this challenge as well. So we'll see what I think about that. The 15th book is a book that I've read many times, and I recently reread it, but I didn't do a video on it. So I was involved in a group read for 1984, and 1984 is just essential reading. It's such an important book, and it's kind of ironic that it's been banned for far left reasons and banned for far right reasons. But I'd like to do a video on 1984 anyway, so I'm going to reread it again with that in mind. 1984 by George Orwell, crucial book. Number 16, I love John Steinbeck's stuff, and I'm going to be reading more John Steinbeck next year anyway, and I'd like to do a video on John Steinbeck, but I am definitely going to read Grapes of Wrath. So Grapes of Wrath has been banned, so it's interesting to to sort of look up why it's been banned. But before I do that, and before I do a video on it, I'm going to read it, because I haven't read that one yet. I've read about 6 of his books, but I haven't read Grapes of Wrath yet. Number 17, Franz Kafka, The Trial. I love The Trial. So if I read it, well, when I read it again, it's not an if. When I read it again, it'll be the 3rd time I've read it, and I'm definitely going to do a video on it. I haven't done a video on The Trial yet, but I'll look forward to doing a video on The Trial, and I'm going to try and think about how to link it to other Kafka-esque works of fiction, or approaches to fiction, and I think it's just such an interesting comment on society, and it's just so brilliant. So yeah, The Trial is definitely going to be read for this challenge. Another one that I'm doing for this challenge that I don't know too much about, and that's Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. I do know its subject matter is about terrorism and about 9/11, but that's all I know. So we'll find out what I think about that. I've owned it for a while, but that's going to be read next year for this challenge as well. The 19th pick I've got down here is Saga. So I'm going to be carrying on reading the Saga books, the Saga story. So I've already read the first 2, and I've done a video on the well, actually, I did a video talking about that I was going to read them. I think the other time I mentioned it was in a monthly wrap up, but I'm going to talk about those in more detail as I read them. I might batch some together or something like that. But I do like the Saga series, so I'm on book 3, and I really do like them. So that's going to be read for the challenge as well. The 20th choice I've got here is, again, it'll be a reread, but definitely one I want to include. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. I think she's amazing, and I'm really looking forward to reading that again. So I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I haven't read it for a long time, so that will be interesting. So that's going to be read. It's just crazy that these books have been banned. It's just the 21st choice is Philip Pullman's his Dark Materials series. So Northern Lights is the first one. So I'll be reading Northern Lights again, and I'd like to read all 3 again. So that's the plan, and I'll probably do a video on the whole series, the trilogy. But I do love those books, so it'd be good to read them again. The 22nd choice is a book that I've talked about on the channel that I want to read. I keep mentioning it, and I still haven't got to it, but I will next year, and that's Ken Casey's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So I know the story really well, because I know the film backwards. I've seen it many times, and I also saw a fantastic live performance of it in London at the West End with Christian Slater playing the main role. It's amazing. But I really do need to read the book. So One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is going to be part of that challenge as well. The 23rd choice is another attempt for me to like Kurt Vonnegut, and that's Slaughterhouse-5. So I do feel like I can't stop reading him and say, oh, I'm done with him, I'm not doing him anymore, until I've read Slaughterhouse-5. So it'll be the 4th book I've read by him, but the other 3 I didn't like. So when I spoke to somebody in more detail about this, they said that the 3 I'd read weren't the best ones to start with. But anyway, I'm going to read Slaughterhouse-5, and I really hope I like it, because I like the idea of it, and I've been fascinated by people talking about it. So it'd be good if it's good, if I like it. And then the last one on my list, the 24th book. Again, this is not in order, but the 24th one that I've decided to read and put on my list, TBR, is Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. Again, a book that I've owned for a little while, something that I've really wanted to read for a while, and this is going to be the kickstart for me to do it, because, as I've been saying in this video, it's really important that we put a spotlight on these books when they've been banned, and banned books is a really important topic to discuss, to talk about, and if we all do it on our channels, it'd be great, because it's something that we probably take, well, it might be universally taken too much for granted, and it's a really important issue. So big big shout out to MJ for a really important video that she made. It was a rallying call to try and get us to join her with this challenge. I'm going to read 24 books that have been banned. These are the choices I've made, the 24 books I'm going to be reading, and I'll be making a playlist, so hopefully that'll be there for people to look at afterwards. Let me know what you think of those books and what you would read in the 24 for 24 event. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.
Paint me a picture of what it's like to be